Giselle is in the house. What you got for us?
Hello, everyone. Hello, Jonathan.
Hello there. We haven't had you on for a while.
I know it's been a minute. I wasn't really planning to coming on, but I thought this topic is very interesting. So I
Okay.
figured next time you talked about this, I wanted to jump in because it's a very, interesting subject.
So are
But
you willing to go deep for our audience? And I don't mean
I'm
that as a
always
pun.
willing. I'm always willing to go deep for the audience. Only for
All
knowledge
right.
purposes, though.
Okay. What's your question?
Well, actually, before I actually wanted to make a comment, but before that, I do have a question for you. Let's call it a personal question.
Okay.
You're talking a lot about kinks and this and that. What
Yeah.
are Jonathan Asley's kinks?
What are Jonathan Asley's kinks?
I'm
So
sure
what's
every
interesting?
lady
Well,
here wants to find out.
before I'll answer that,
Mhm.
what inspired me to want to shoot this video is that
Yeah.
I've become aware that the sexual component of a relationship, really, when you think of romantic relationships, I mean, you're either, are you in a relation? Like I'm in a relationship with my son, I'm in a relationship with my sister, I'm in a relationship with friends. But a romantic relationship, what makes it uniquely different is the physical connection with another human being. It's that particularly intercourse for me anyway. I can't speak for everyone else. It got me thinking that as a coach, I talk so much about emotional maturity. I talk so much about spirituality. I'm a sapiosexual. My kink, if you want to know what my kink is speaking at an intellectual level. I was with a sex educator anthropologist over the week, and I mean, the level of intellectual conversation was like a radical turn on for me. I mean, it was very aroused at that level because I'm a sapiosexual. So in one level, my kink is being sapiosexual. I mean, I don't mind sharing that I'm a dominant nature. I'm a 6'2", 200-pound man. I've got broad shoulders, that sort of thing. And but there are times when I want to feel like my little kid wants to come out every little once in a while and wants, nurturing from, that strong feminine, energy
Well, there's
type of
nothing
thing. But
wrong
for the
with
most part,
that.
but I would say my kink is being sapiosexual.
Well, that's interesting. Actually, I
Yeah.
was kind of expecting something like that from you.
Yeah.
But I
Now,
figured that
I'm
every
not going to
lady
share
here
my
wanted to
fetish.
know.
Let me be clear. I'm not going to share my fetishes, the body sensations that really turn me on. That's personal to me. I'm not
Yeah,
going to
I
share
know, I
the
know.
body sensations. And, I mean, we all have a different, like some women like their ears licked, and it's like an arousal at a heightened level. Some like their toes licked, some like different parts of their body, some like feathers, all over their body, and all these different body sensations.
That's really
Um,
funny because now that you mentioned that, I do have to say this. I know some men like that too, but it's such a turnoff for me for a guy to lick my ears or to suck on them. For
yeah.
some reason, I just don't like the sound, the sensation, and all that. Like that's a turnoff. So it
But some
depends, I guess,
people,
on the
but
person.
for some people, that's an erogenous zone. Right
Mhm.
behind the ear is for some people an erogenous zone. Everybody's
It's an
body
annoying
is
zone.
uniquely different. This is why one of the things the sex educator I was speaking to, we were talking about really understanding your body from head to toe from a sexual perspective. Because you
Gotcha.
can't, I mean, it's hard to, other than, masturbation, it's hard to give yourself pleasure. I mean, certainly I get a ton of pleasure when I get a massage. I mean, that's a very, well, not a sports massage because that's radically painful. I mean, a Thai massage, but I'm not saying it from a sexual perspective, but at least you understand your body when you're getting massaged. But from a intimate sexual perspective, you need someone to play with to learn what your body responds to. So
Absolutely. And
anyway,
that's what I wanted to comment on. Actually, that was the main reason of why I wanted to jump in. It's because of that, because that is true. Me personally, I do believe that in order for you to have a successful sexual relationship, you have to know your body first. I think
Yeah.
that everybody should explore their body in every sense. I'm not just talking physically, but also spiritually, and be in touch with your body and get to
Yeah.
know what do you like, what you don't like. You know, for instance, me as an example, as I mentioned, I don't like getting my ears sucked. I think that
Yeah.
is disturbing for
But
me.
that
But
took, but
other people
Giselle,
will love it.
that but that took another person for you to know that. When we say get to know your body, what we're really saying is get to know it through the experience of another human being.
Yeah,
It's very,
that's what I'm
we
getting.
can't read a book and go, I know what my
No, no,
body's
book
all
will
about.
never tell you. It's like parental books. It will give you an idea how to be a parent, but once you're a parent, that's when you start getting to
Yeah.
know what it's like
Yeah.
to be a parent. But what I'm talking is that when you explore yourself, like it's very healing. Like especially if women have been, you know, traumatized in any way. A lot of women, there's a high percentage in this world that women experience sexual abuse, and I believe that through experiencing that healing
Yeah.
and you know and exploring yourself as a person,
Well,
as
so
a being, it will help you because
yeah.
sometimes people don't have good sexual experiences because of trauma, so they lock up, and that means that their
Right.
vagina locks up, or the men, they suffer from a little ed. Sorry, my
Yeah.
accent won't let me say it, but you
That's
know,
okay.
there's a lot of things that we have to work on the mind, but we also have to connect them to our soul, you know. And once you have that energetic connection and that full connection with yourself,
Yeah.
with your body, with your mind, with your soul, you will be having orgasms left and right, and you won't even realize that you're having them because
Yeah.
you're not subconscious about it. You're free.
No.
You're letting yourself be. But first, that's why you have to heal, and self-love comes into that, you know,
So I
exploring
want
yourself.
to jump in for a second, and I want you to start formulating your question for me because we're going to use this video later. I want
Okay.
to touch upon something that you said, and I don't believe enough men know how much women have been objectified or have been experience sexual trauma of some sort. I don't think the average man knows how frequently women are objectified and how they might have experienced, you know, non-consensual physical activity. I mean, and I'm differentiating between down and out RAPE versus you know, I mean, like you have some relationship, but it's really like a lot of women, and I've only heard this, and I, from what I understand, the percentages are so high, it's almost, you can say every woman has experienced some sort of sexual trauma. And again, I'm differentiating between something radically horrific versus garden variety. Every woman's experienced that. And so my point in bringing this up in this conversation, whether you're a man or a woman watching this, hopefully men who are watching this, I want to say that you guys need to know that women, you know, their behavior in the bedroom isn't always a function of how they feel about you. It's a reflection of what might have happened in their life. And as you said a moment ago, Giselle, you know, a woman's vagina might be closed because of sexual trauma, and it all comes here. And from what I understand from sex therapists, a lot of women struggle having an orgasm when, if they've done some real deep emotional therapy work, emotional release work, they can actually open up their bodies. Again, this isn't me. This isn't, I'm not the expert. I'm just reciting what I've heard. So what's your question in the context of this video?
Well, really, mostly I just wanted to reiterate some of the things that you were saying because I don't really have a
Okay.
question because I do feel like I have gained throughout my spiritual journey a very big in depth, you know, when it comes to every area of my life. But
Yeah.
I wanted to say that there's nothing wrong with asking these questions when you're
All right.
meeting.
All right. So I have something for you because you're, if, correct me if I'm wrong, you're rather religious, correct?
I'm not religious. I'm a Christian because I believe in Christ, but I don't believe in any religion. I'm spiritual,
Okay.
but I'm not
So
religious.
the reason why I say that is, and maybe we can talk about this. I'm just spitballing here.
Absolutely.
But
Go ahead.
my impression of religious people is that they're highly repressed sexually.
Yep, that's
And I'd
true.
like some confirmation of your experience about sex and, and not, I don't mean Christ, but sex and religion,
Okay,
Can you
well,
dive
I'm
into
gonna
this, please?
tell you. I'm gonna totally open up about this, and it's really funny because a lot of people, I'm out of the norm, I guess, in the
Okay.
religious stance. I've actually had debates about this in my church. It's
Okay.
funny, but it's because unfortunately, people that are in religion, they follow this indoctrination that sexual acts are either disgusting, degrading, only for procreation, but it's like a sin. But the truth is, it isn't. Uh,
Yeah.
God made our bodies. He made all these nerve endings. He made every genital. He knew if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to say numbers, but I do have to say, I think that women in their clitoris have about 8,000 nerve endings, and men in their penis head, they only had about half of that, which is 4,000.
Is that
I'm
real?
not
Real when
100%
the head of a
sure.
penis is much bigger than a vagina. I mean, a
I know,
clitoris, though.
but our clitoris, it's magnificent. But that's where it stands. Like in some people, in some countries, they castrate they cut out
Yeah.
the women, girls' clitoris so they don't feel pleasure. Like that's messed up. You
That is
can't.
so. Wait, no. That's fucked up. I mean,
It
that
is.
is. I know you can't
It
say
is.
that.
No, I could, but I don't want to. But
Okay.
like I believe that God created our body to feel pleasure. Now, I do disagree, which is what I used to do. I do disagree that you shouldn't be exchanging energy with just anyone. You shouldn't
Yes.
be
Yeah.
sharing yourself with just anyone, because by coming together with someone, you're exchanging not just body fluids, you're also
Yeah.
exchanging energy. And
Exactly.
sometimes in the heat of the moment, you may say, oh, something that you might take back, because remember, words are powerful. When you say someone just to get in their pants, I love you, but then they don't really mean it, that's a declaration, that's a contract you're making with someone, kind of
Well,
like
wait
a
a minute.
wedding.
Wait. I want to defend that for a
Oh,
moment.
go
Okay.
ahead,
Okay. I
what's up?
want to defend that because I am so guilty of saying the L word in the heat of the moment. I am so guilty. So it's not okay. I love you is not I want to be with you for the rest of my life. That's not what I love you means. But we in romantic relationship, we interpret that because when I say I love you to my son or I say I love you to my best friend,
Different.
I mean,
That's different.
well, no, what I mean is it's not a contract. Now, however, I will say on a subconscious level, the person thinks of it as a contract, but it's not legitimate contract. I mean, I'm just gonna I want to
Well, in
defend
my
myself.
opinion, it's
However,
a
I agree that's
spiritual
what it feels
commitment.
like.
It's like
So
a
coming back
spiritual
to
commitment. And
I get it. I get it. I
and
get,
that's
by
what
the
I'm
way, I'm not in disagreement with you. I
oh,
just
that's
mean, but it's
fine.
not. Okay.
That's fine. That's fine. And this is what the world is all about. Being people disagreeing with each other. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm very conscious. If I'm gonna say to somebody I love you, it's because I'm sure I'm making it's a bond.
Yeah.
It's like a bond that you're creating with someone. Your lover. Because it's not the same I love you that I tell my mom, my brother, my friends. It's not the same as I will tell my lover, because it's a love with passion, desire,
Yeah.
with a lot of different things. So anyway, going back, in religion, everything, they see that as a taboo.
Yeah.
And that's actually one of the reasons of why I have meditated and got so much into this path. It's because I want to help women free themselves from that, and to
Yeah.
embody the pleasure within their body and their soul that God has given us. I'm not saying go hoe around. I'm saying wait for that right person, because even when you kiss someone, you're exchanging energy and a bit
Well,
of.
all right. I want to jump in on that. I'm going to jump in on that. And by the way, the movie Pretty Woman. It's kind of
Yes,
funny.
I've seen it.
Julia Roberts plays a sex worker, I guess is the more appropriate, politically correct term, and Richard Gere, a rich industrialist. But she says there's no kissing. She'll have sex with the guy, but no kissing, because she says that is more intimate. It's kind of funny. that, and by the way, but we'll kiss on a, on first dates, second dates, that sort of thing. Sometimes we wait for physical intimacy, but in some ways kissing is even more intimate than physical intimacy.
It is. And to me, everything is. It's all into one. That's why I'm, very cautious with who I interact with, because it's like when you know, and I don't really, I feel like I'm to the point, talking personally, like I'm a little bit re-virginized because I haven't had a sexual interaction in a very long time. So I want to make it
How
right.
long is a long time?
Oh my gosh, I told you last time, Jonathan.
I know you didn't. I can't remember now. So what is it?
8 years. 8
8
years
years.
without any kissing, without any sexual intimacy with any man, nothing. But
Well,
I
I
have
think it's time I think, and by the way, I was going to say something that was inappropriate.
no, go ahead.
Someone made a comment here. Betty makes the comment, and you're not the expert at this, but I want to address this question. Talk about the difference between making love and having
Big
sex.
one. I can
So,
vouch for that.
so my
It's a big difference.
interpretation is coming back to, there's the, you mentioned the bodily fluids component of sex or physical intimacy. And then there's the energetic component. But within energy is emotion, like our feelings, not just our body sensations, but our heart, our heart. And so while I'm not here to judge anyone who has one night stand sex, hooking up sex, friends with benefits, situationships, casual relationships, I'm not here to judge anyone's choices in the bedroom. But I do believe that when we have physical intimacy with someone, we can become emotionally bonded to a person. We can be chemically bonded to a person, but we can be emotionally bonded. And so I believe in reserving physical intimacy with someone that you feel some level of emotional connection. And when you're having an emotional experience with someone, that to me is lovemaking versus wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, kind of, just the raw pleasure of it. That's my interpretation of that.
Absolutely. And I agree, because it becomes more deeper, because physical orgasm is not the same as the spiritual orgasm.
Yeah.
And it's very different, because one thing is having sex for pleasure, and another thing is having sex for more than that, like an orgasm, but like a spiritual orgasm. I don't know if you've ever had one, but I
Lots
believe
of
those are very powerful, and those are amazing. And you can only do that when you have a connection with someone.
By the way,
Like someone
you
special.
asked me my kink earlier. I'm a sapiosexual. I have spiritual orgasms when I'm with the right person. I am having spiritual orgasms left and right.
Well, that's good for you, Jonathan. Orgasms
Thank you.
are like a medicine, so there's nothing
Okay.
wrong with that. And that's a taboo that I'm trying to, bring enlighten to all these women, to see if they can. I bet you that the moment they realize the truth behind God's meaning for us, I
Yeah.
think that that's when they will be set free. And
So
that's my
it's
mission in life,
interesting.
and that's what I'm working on.
So I mentioned earlier that I have a friend who's an anthropologist and a sex educator. And she was sharing with me, when she's intimate, she can have full body up and down, like every part of her body can be orgasmic.
Mm-hmm.
But she said she had to learn all of this. Like it wasn't something that, like I said, you could read a book or just go do and it's just going to manifest itself.
Oh,
I think the reason why I'm bringing this up is, and the reason why I'm having this conversation today is are they your sexual type, having conversations. I want to start encouraging healthier dialogue for people to ask those more, those tougher questions. What pleases you? How can I please you? Kind of questions before you're physically intimate with someone. That's because that's building trust with another person. So So, well, let's put a bow on all of this,
All
Giselle,
right.
because I know you just came in to ask me what my
I
kink
know.
was.
No,
Uh,
that wasn't really my main question, but it was the you were talking about that. So it's
well,
like,
that's
hey,
the
I
only
wonder what
question.
Jonathan's kink is.
Yeah, I know, but that's the only question you asked.
But
I will not
I do want
explore.
to say something real quickly
Yeah,
before
sure.
sorry for interrupting you. We
No,
got that tendency going on here, but we love each other. Okay,
yeah,
so this is the thing. Women, when you go into an interaction with a man, don't be afraid to ask what you want, what you like, what they like. Me, when I'm with my man, well, I don't have one now, but when I used to, I
right.
used to be like, okay, what do you don't like?
Yeah,
That's my question. Because then I'll explore what you like, And then that's where the communication comes in, where you do your thing, you show him what you got, but then he
right.
guides you. And then the same thing, you do the same thing. You guide him, you tell him how you like it and stuff, because women are like ovens. You got to preheat them before you put the cooking. You
By the way,
know
you're speaking to a female audience, so they know all this. This is
Men
for
are
guys
like
to be listening.
microwaves that they turn on really quickly. So you have to just be embodied in yourself. Get to know your body. Get to know there's no shame in that. As long as you do it consciously and you ask God to protect you from
Yeah,
anything negative that could be around you, like any energetic negativity, because I mean some spirits tend to take advantage of that, but that's another story. But you have to be focused and pure, and then start to know yourself, explore yourself, love yourself, touch yourself, feel yourself. What do you like, what you don't like, and be honest with yourself. Explore,
by the way,
learn,
this is true
grow.
for men and women alike. By the way, I want to
Exactly.
point out, Callie says if the kissing is bad, I wouldn't go any further.
Well,
You
that can
know,
be fixed. I think that the kissing can be
I
fixed
think,
because
you know
I've
what?
learned
I
how to change
remember
men that are bad kissers and turn them into excellent kissers. So
I was with a woman right after my divorce who, like, the first time we kissed, I thought, was she a high school girl? Like, I mean, I meant like, and please forgive me, it just reminded me of high school. But you know what? That changed really fast. So,
yeah,
but some people, I've been with women who are slobberer kissers. I know men can be that way.
they don't have that
Um,
type of control, yeah. But kissing
anyway,
is awesome.
Giselle,
I love kissing. But I think that can be fixed for
yes,
sure.
I agree. Well, big hugs of appreciation. Thank you for coming on and having a dialogue with me.
Thank
It
you.
helps make this flow. You had some really good points. I appreciate you
Definitely.
sharing the spiritual and
Thank
religious
you for having
conversation with
me.
us as well. All right, big hugs to you.
Thank you. God bless you all.
All right, be well. All right, so Giselle was really kind to jump on and share. I wanted to get her take because I do know that she is, well, while she's spiritual, she did have a religious background. And I was interested to hear how she thought about physical intimacy in the context of the church, so to speak. And by the way, our conversation leaned into a lot of different things. I think the most important thing that came out of that conversation with her is what you ladies know. And by the way, she's not a sex expert, so I want to be clear. Is I think one of the fundamental things is when we learn our bodies through another person, to be open to asking what you like, what you don't like, having these deeper conversations earlier on builds trust with a partner. And when you have trust, you take your physical ecstasy to a whole nother level. Sadly, as she even said, I think it's important that we be very selective as to whom we choose to be physically intimate with. I'm a big proponent of that, being very selective as to whom we're going to be physically intimate with. And again, there's no judgment. I mean, here, if you want to just have pleasure, that's okay too. But at the same time, we can get radically attached to a person. So it's just important to explore. This conversation was merely to explore all the nooks and crannies when it comes to the sex word. And I hope that this conversation opened you up. And if I'm hoping one person says, wow, I got a lot out of this, whether it was we were talking about kissing, whether we were talking about spiritual orgasm, whether we were talking about kink, whether we were talking about fetishes. But most importantly, what I want everyone to get out of this is it's important to have conversations with someone, because as I said earlier, you build the deep roots of trust when you talk to one another. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. I'd like to hear your thoughts today. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. Also, if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below to schedule a discovery call with me to see if working with a coach is right for you. There's a link to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery, where you can have a direct access to me on a regular basis, all listed below. You can get my dating vows. You can get the books I recommend, all down below. All right, I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, give myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Barrick of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love, if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow, and give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives.